Good morning, Mr. Mayor of Burnaby, Canada. My name is Yujiro Taniyama, and I'm a filmmaker and an outspoken samurai of the 21st century. And today, sir, I would just like to convey a short message to you personally, sir, Mr. Mayor, regarding the controversial issue of the so-called the comfort woman. I have heard from my friends that the beautiful city of Burnaby is considering whether to set up the so-called the comfort woman statue or not. And today, I would just like to convey my thoughts. I do not mean to inflict my beliefs on anybody in Canada. That is ridiculous, especially in the world of democracy and free speech we live in. We have to be impartial, never biased. That is not fair and balanced. Like the Fox News, whether or not you call Fox News fair and balanced, that's a different issue. Sir, Mr. Mayor, there is a book called Berlin, The Downfall, 1945, written by a British historian. His name is Anthony Beevor. In this book, this British historian, he asserts that at the last stage of World War II, over 2 million German women, including children, were raped by the Soviet Red Army. Over 2 million, sir. From an 8-year-old child to an 80-year-old woman. It is hardly reported in the world media today. But this, I believe, is the definition of rape and sexual slavery. 2 million gang rape of German women in 1945 in Germany by the Soviet troops. This, I repeat, sir, I really believe that this is the true definition of rape and sexual slavery. Now, compared to this war crime by the Soviets or the Russians, forget the Crimea for the time being, compared to this war crime back in 1945, the comfort system, the comfort woman system, doesn't matter whichever you call it, whichever you like it, is or was nothing but a military prostitution system. I assert this, sir, not because I am a Japanese citizen, but I claim so because the U.S. authorities, the U.S. military said so back on October the 1st, 1944. In this U.S. military war report number 49, you can get it in Washington, D.C., the National Archives Library. Okay? In this United States military war report number 49 that was published on October the 1st, 1944, it clearly mentions that a comfort girl is no more than a prostitute or a professional camp follower. Period. Mr. Mayor, Tokyo and Washington were fighting war back then during World War II, which means the American side could have jotted down anything. That there were mass rapes and kidnaps and boom, boom, bra, 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 boom, 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 boom. In Asia, when the U.S. military arrived in Burma, today's Myanmar. But on this report, U.S. official confidential report number 49 in 1944, it clearly mentions that the United States military depicted the comfort woman as merely as prostitutes or professional camp followers, period. Moreover, sir, in 1994, that's pretty recent, The Dutch government issued a report claiming that they regard the comfort system primarily as prostitution. I did not say that, sir. The Dutch government, Amsterdam, announced in 1994, I reiterate, in 1994, that the Dutch government regards the comfort system primarily as prostitution, period. According to Wellesley College, this is a U.S. university, Wellesley College professor, Catherine Moon. She's also a senior fellow for the prestigious the Brookings Institute, the think tank of America now. Well, anyways, this professor, U.S. professor Catherine Moon, she's asserted in her book, Sex Among Allies, that from 1950 on, that's the Korean War, since 1950, over 1 million Korean women have served as sex providers for the U.S. military. This means that over 1 million Korean comfort women provided sexual service to the U.S. military. And in the book, she clearly mentions that these prostitutes were also called comfort women, even after Japan's surrender in 1945. So, sir, what I am trying to say, that the term comfort woman was always, since the war, for nearly half a century, always considered as military prostitutes, even among the Korean authorities. To support my assertion, in 1977, the father of the incumbent South Korea's incumbent, the president, her name is Park Eun-hye, right? Her father, whose name was Park Chung-hee, he signed a comfort woman document, which clearly said that there are 9,935 comfort women in 62 camp stations, or the camp town brothels, or the comfort stations. The term慰安婦, the comfort woman, the Koreans call it慰安婦, it's the same thing. It is clearly used in this 1977 report, which means the father of the incumbent South Korean president considered the comfort woman merely as prostitutes or sex workers, like in Amsterdam today. Mr. Mayor of Burnaby, Canada, it was not until the 14th of August, 1991, that this whole definition of comfort woman suddenly somehow changed to so-called rape and sexual slavery by the Japanese army. On the 14th of August, 1991, sir, this Korean lady, her name is Miss Kim Hak-sun, she came out to the public confessed that she was the former comfort woman for the Japanese military, period. However, when she first came out, the first comfort woman, Kim Hak-sun, she had clearly mentioned, sir, that she was sold to a brothel in Pyongyang by her own mom when she was 14. Back then, well, Korea has a long history of state-run prostitution called the Kisang, which roots back 1,000 years ago. The Goryeo dynasty, 918 AD. So now, the first comfort woman, sir, was sold to a brothel in Pyongyang by her own mom when she was 14. She was in that brothel for 3 years, in the Kisang for 3 years. After that, the brothel master, the Korean brothel master, of course, took her to northern China and totally abandoned her, dumped her as a human scum, and just ran away. Of course, it was human trafficking, but it was nothing got to do with the Japanese army. She was left near the Japanese military bases, a military compound of about 300 Japanese soldiers. That is correct. However, in her original story, on the 14th of August, 1991, the first confoundment Kim Il-sung, she had never mentioned that she was kidnapped, blah, 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 blah. Until, sir, a year later, in July 1992, at a public hearing among the South Korean scholars, she suddenly changed her story to kidnapping and rape by the Japanese military, and viciously and intentionally concealing the part that she had been sold to a Korean brothel in Pyongyang by her own mom. That is how Japan's left-wing, ultra-left extremist Asahi newspaper reported it. 2, which led to this widespread notion of sexual slavery by the Japanese army. It was nothing but a fallacy, sir. And this Miss Kim Hak-sun, the first conformant, when she first came out, why did she suddenly came out, sir? We have to think about that. It is because she was controlled by this Korean organization called the Chung Dae-hyup. I think you've never heard of it. But if you visit South Korea, like as I have interviewed dozens of people in South Korea, they all know Chung Dae-hyup because they are such an extreme cult, like an Al-Qaeda of Asia. The reason why I say that is, sir, Chung Dae-hyup, they have an English name called Korean Council, but in this address, I'll just leave it to Chung Dae-hyup, a common term in Korea. The Chung Dae-hyup, the president, her name is Yoon Mi-hyun. However, it is hardly reported that the husband of Yoon Mi-hyun, Miss Yoon Mi-hyun, had been arrested as a North Korean spy. His name is Kim Sam-suk, if they're not divorced. Kim Sam-suk was arrested by the South Korean authorities along with his sister, Kim Eun-ju, back in 1993. For spying for North Korean authorities. What does this mean, sir? North Korea is a country that don't give a shit about human rights. And now we see that the husband of the leader of Korea's most powerful and erratic organization, Chung Dae-hyup, is arrested for spying for Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il? What does this mean, sir? It is politics. Everything is politically motivated and connected. Moreover, those Korean American activists and some Korean activists, the Chung Dae-hyup activists, as well as the U.S. congressmen who enjoy bullying Japan, such as the Democrat, California 17th District, Mike Honda. They are all connected to this North Korean cult by the name of Chung Dae-hyup. I visited this this rally, anti-Japanese rally, last year for filming a documentary about this controversial issue. And I saw all the connections. Everybody, I believe, whoever it was, a Korean-Canadian activist near you, sir, Mr. Mayor, in the beautiful city of Burnaby, I'm pretty sure she's connected to this pro-North Korean cult called Chung Dae-hyup. Just please ask her whether she knows this Chung Dae-hyup or not. She may say she doesn't, but that would be a total lie. Everything is controlled by this North Korean cult. But the problem is, and what is hilarious, no Western media, mainstream media, such as the ABC or BBC, NBC, well, that's Brian Williams, forget that, or New York Times, no Western mainstream media has ever reported the fact that the husband of the leader of Cheongdae-hyup, Miss Yoo Mi-hyang, was a North Korean spy who was jailed along with his sister. I think no Korean activists know that. Even if they do, they turn blind eye to that. This is a vital point to understand this issue, sir. How everything is connected. That is why, Mr. Mayor, I would like you to know what is behind this whole controversy, this contentious issue. Then why doesn't the New York Times or BBC report this crucial fact that the Korean activists they enjoy top-notch relationship with Pyongyang? Because they have only one agenda. They have an agenda, sir. And the agenda is to bully Japan. It may sound hilarious and ludicrous, but that is true. To bully everything that is related to pre-war Japan and the Imperial Army, trying to create this demonic image of Japan. Because then, the New York Times will sell well. They feel good. The Americans feel good. You guys are victors. But by defying logic and by denying the truth of history. Because 200,000 women, oh my God, were never, ever raped or kidnapped by the Japanese army. As I previously said, sir, rape and sexual slavery, it is a definition you use when over 2 million German women are gang raped by the Soviets. As the U.S. War Report on October the 1st, 1944 has depicted, comfort women are nothing but prostitutes or a professional camp follower, period. Sir, this is what the U.S. authorities said back in 1944. And as I have already pointed out, 50 years later, in 1994, then the Dutch government, they came out claiming that the Dutch government, Amsterdam, they regard the comfort system primarily as prostitution. They have also noted that there were exceptions of forced prostitution, but that was extremely rare. These things happened during the state of war, sir. In Vietnam, the Americans. During the first Indochina War, 1954, the French. There are always exceptions of rape and murder during state of war. But regarding the comfort station system in general, it was totally nothing but a prostitutional system, military prostitution. Otherwise, why would the U.S. authorities in 1944 and the Dutch authorities in 1994, they both defined the comfort system as nothing but prostitution? Mr. Mayor, I would like to continue, but I know that you're busy. Canadian men, I guess, are busy people. So I will cut my speech short. But I would just like you to before you make your decision, I would like you, sir, and the team, your teammates, to contemplate what this whole issue is all about. And lastly, I would like to conclude with a quote by a former comfort woman. Her name is Sim Mi-ja. She was a former comfort woman too. This former comfort woman, Sinmija, she asserted that 80% of the South Korean former comfort women were prostitutes. Period. Again, I did not say that, sir. Former comfort woman Sinmija, S-I-M-M-I-J-A, she clearly confessed it. It is written in a book called The Comfort Woman, a masterpiece by a prodigious San Francisco State University professor, Sarah So. It is a great, great book, sir. Please, before you set up those ugly comfort girl statue in your beautiful land of Canada, of grizzly and bears, please, it is, if you do make a decision to set it up, it will be a shameful part of Canadian history, sir. I mean, it is hilarious. It's like setting up a statue of prostitutes on your beautiful land to benefit what, the North Koreans, I mean the Pyongyang and some extreme leftist Changdae activists. It's like setting up, Brian Williams statue somewhere in America saying that Brian Williams was shot down in Iraq in 2003 with his comrades, and he was gang raped by Iraqi men or Saddam Hussein. It's the same thing, sir. I'm not making fun of anybody here. This is it's a whole comedy, this whole issue. This comfort system or comfort woman issue, I do not want to say this, but in fact, it is a very cynical parody and a comedy and a fallacy and a hypocrisy. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much for watching my video. My name is Yujiro Taniyama. You can forget my name, but please do not forget the personal message I sent to you today. Thank you very much, sir, and good morning. Bye.